It's a tough career to get into. You're going to face obstacles and, things that really people just shouldn't see. Try and remember the good part of it. You're helping somebody. There's a good part of every call, even though there's a lot of tragedy. I'm Kim Newton, and I've been a police officer now for 9 years. I actually grew up in Thunder Bay, technically outside of Thunder Bay, a little place called Kekabeka Falls. I have like a very far back memory of going to like the local Legion when they had like a police day, and looking inside the cruisers and like turning the lights on and the sirens, and I was just like amazed by it. Obviously as a kid you like loud noises and bright lights, but as I got older I kind of learned police officers really do help people, and they want to make the community safer for everybody, make the world a better place. That just really appealed to me. It gave me a strong sense of purpose. I think when I first put on like the police uniform and suited up for my first day on the job, I was like, I feel like a badass. I was a little naive. And I'd say it's comparable to a roller coaster. You could have a nice quiet morning and, all of a sudden you're getting called to absolute chaos. Most people call you on their worst day, so kind of having to deal with the worst of the worst. A lot of the times we are first on scene, so you're expected to be the paramedic that's going to save a life. You're expected to be the firefighter that's going to put out the fire. You're expected to be the social worker that's going to stop somebody from jumping off the roof. And it's a lot. Certainly a lot on one person to be expected to do everything and to do it perfectly, make no mistakes. As soon as you're, clearing that call, you're getting another one. I think that's where a lot of the difficulty comes with this job, is that you don't really have time to process everything. You're kind of taught to just push things down and keep pushing forward. That's something I tried to help myself out with initially when I first got hired is, I started seeking out a psychologist. I naively thought that it would prevent me from really being exposed to anything that, would be so challenging for me that it would stop kind of my ability to live. Not that it made me invincible, but I guess I was trying my best. So my experience was a little bit, not what I would have expected it to be when you're faced with getting a PTSD diagnosis. It had been previous calls, like multiple previous calls, that started to affect me once I had my son. I could tell that I was anxious and stressed and like there was something going on inside my body, but I didn't really understand what it was. And when I had to do like a CPR requalification, and they bring out the little dummies that you have to do CPR on, and they have the adult one and then they have the infant one, and so we did the practice on the adults, and then as soon as the instructor brought the baby one out, like the infant one, I couldn't breathe. I was in like full panic. I'd almost like compare it, like, not that I've ever drowned, but I feel like that would feel like what you're, probably feeling like when you're drowning, like you just can't breathe. And I guess for me, becoming a mom, I think brought back a lot of memories from calls, dealing with kids. It was just kind of a normal day. As soon as I walked through the door, I could hear like the radio going, and that call, it was for a baby not breathing. And so I guess you kind of have an idea of what you might be going to, but I don't think anything can prepare you. Yeah, so there was a 1-year-old that had died in her car seat. She had choked on something. Still tough. There was another call. It was for another child in a car seat that a parent had, I guess, in their morning tiredness, forgot to drop them off at daycare. And they went to work, and the child had been sleeping in the car seat, and it was the middle of summer, so I think it was noon when that one came in. So, I mean, it's not like an everyday thing, but it's unfortunate, tragic, and these things do happen, so we're the ones that are expected to go and kind of deal with it. And yeah, I guess that the CPR dummy, just the size of it reminded me of that call. And also my son, because he was 1. I was like, no idea, like, what is going on? Like, I knew something happened and I was reacting this way, but you feel a little helpless, like you don't know what you can do to make it stop. I called my psychologist and I was like, something's wrong, like something's not right, I don't feel normal. Leaving work was, bittersweet, obviously. It was not somewhere I could be and do my job, and I knew that. But I felt like I had no sense of purpose, which I think made things a lot harder. My only sense of purpose I had was, caring for my son. And during the day, during the week, he was at school, so I had nothing. About a year after I went off work, it was kind of progressively getting worse and worse and worse over time. I was avoiding going shopping at stores because I was avoiding people. I wouldn't take my son for walks in a stroller. And that was because of another call where somebody had been run over by an impaired driver, and they were on the sidewalk. Basically, my everyday had kind of become pulling myself out of bed in the morning, which was really difficult, getting my son ready for daycare, taking him to daycare, getting on my couch, and not leaving until I had to get up and go pick him up from daycare. I physically couldn't do more than that. I felt like the world was just this awful place, and I wasn't quite at a point where I was thinking of specific ways to end my life, but I was kind of like, if it happens, it happens. I won't go out of my way to prevent it. I think had I not had a psychologist prior to kind of this all happening, I probably wouldn't be here today. I was not okay. So I guess the only reason that I even knew I was as low as I was because I have to fill out assessments with my psychologist every so often, and she randomly sent me like the depression one. I filled it out late at night on a Thursday night, and she called me first thing Friday morning, and she was like, we need to talk about this because these answers are not okay with me. She kind of said to me, like, we have options here. You can either do an inpatient program through a hospital, an outpatient program, or we can just spend the next 2 weeks doing like a lot more discussions surrounding it, and then, you know, try to make a plan to get myself out of it. And I guess in my head at that time, I'm like, I can't be an outpatient or an inpatient. Like, those are the people that I apprehend at work. I'm not one of those people. So, I mean, I certainly had some like very biased thoughts and feelings about it. But hearing her say that, I was like, oh, like this is not me. I can't do that. It kind of maybe ignited something in me a little bit to like really try and push myself to get out of this. So I got kind of to a point where I was like, okay, I'm forcing myself to go for a walk. I'm forcing myself to get outside. And I just pushed myself harder than I ever have before. And it was really freaking hard. But then I started working with an occupational therapist, and like that was a game changer. I told her, like, I used to be very active and I'm doing nothing. So that was one of our goals, was to just become more active. Like, you just kind of have to push as hard as you've ever pushed before, and you got to do the hard things. And, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I'd like to say I'm at the end, but I don't think there is an end. It's just kind of an ongoing process, but I think I'm at a point where, you know, I'm entertaining the idea of going back to work. I still have that passion and the drive to want to help people. I mean, I've certainly given up the thought and belief that I'm a superhero. It's scary knowing that this could happen again, but I kind of know that you can't really prepare yourself for when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, or why. But at least now I think I have more tools and knowledge to kind of get myself through it if it does happen again. There's still a lot of good in it. And it's just, I try not to focus on the parts that are scary and the parts that are difficult, as much as I know they're there. You know, it's why I got into the career in the first place, is to be there to help people on their worst day. And I think I can still do that. I know I can still do that.